So triangulation, I can jump in on that one, is when they involve another party to try to justify their behaviors, to confuse the situation, to pit you against another person. So maybe, and sometimes they can be totally open. In fact, I've spoken to a lady today who as open as to say, I want you both. And, you know, and it can be in a romantic sense, it can be with friendships, it can be with family members, but they involve other parties to kind of strengthen their position of power over the other people.
Yeah. And yeah, that would include the scapegoating of another person. Mm-hmm. It's in a family situation with a mother and two daughters. The mother would use one of her daughters to triangulate against the other daughter, mm-hmm. to say that, or scapegoat against the other daughter, mm-hmm. scapegoat the daughter and say that she's such a bad person. So you should stick by me and say, mm-hmm. that she's a bad person too, because that defends my story, and it makes them feel alone and isolated, mm-hmm. which is what they want. That's because they may have been love bombing you, and love bombing is like throwing gifts and nice what's the word, like nice
gestures, romantic gestures. Yeah, making romantic gestures, promises. Yeah, and often in that love bombing phase, they are essentially out to gather as much information as they possibly can. And that's often what's underlying that love bombing, is that in the giving, they are taking the responses, they're taking your weak spots, you know, what works, what doesn't work. And that way it can all start to be used against you once you move into the next phase of abuse, which inevitably comes after the love bombing one. And it can take months, it can take years before you come out of the love bombing phase. But when they subconsciously, maybe consciously, who knows, deem it to have kind of got to the point where you are so under the spell, then they can move into that next phase of manipulation.
Yes, that's a really good point, Eve, actually. And then actually what happens, this sets the foundation for the trauma bond. This is the beginning.
The love bombing does?
This is the bit we're trying to
sets the tone?
Yeah, this is the bit we're trying to get back to, because it's the side of the cognitive dissonance which sets all the expectations of the behaviors, so that when future behaviors don't match a belief that we've formed about that person, we experience this sense of cognitive dissonance. And in that moment, we've got this deep tension that we have to resolve. And the way that we do that often is through things like self-gaslighting, where we try to adjust our behavior or take responsibility so that it would eventually change their behaviors to match that person they were at the beginning again.
Yeah. So in the love bombing phase, they'll say things. So after the love bombing phase, they'll say things like, if it's like you're bringing up the behavior, they'll be like, how dare you? Like, I did all these things for you. Like, I can't believe after everything I've done, like how you can say this and blah, 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 like make you feel really guilty and ashamed for saying anything, because look at how much I've done. Look at all the love bombing I've thrown on you, because that's the purpose. It's to control you in a particular way.